Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Adrian. Today I'm going to be taking my review of the Solo Tools Expanded zine that is currently on Drive4RPG. Over the past week or so, it's been updated several times, and I've now got to the stage where I think it may be the final zine, so it's time to get the camera on, talk about this. I've been using it for the last few days, expanding on the solo rules that are already freely available from the Arcane Library for the amazing Shadowdark. So this is going to give, it's about 176 more pages of rules, random tables. Actually, this what it does with the NPCs is really good when we get into that. Stuff for creating shops. It's got 2 hex crawls in here, 3 villages that you can just go with and just get going. There is a slight issue that I have with the book, and it's a little bit of a biggie, but I'm going to leave that till my final thoughts right at the end. So as I do with all these, I'm just going to take you through, because it is available on Drive-Thru RPG. So here we have the Drive-Thru RPG page. So I did pick this up, so I will put my affiliate link down in the video description. So if you are thinking of getting this, let me know what you think by the end of this, whether you want to add this to your collection. But yeah, please do consider using my affiliate link. It is PDF only currently. I'd imagine, like with most of these things, you will be able to add a physical copy once the print on demand is done. It can take several weeks to get print on demand sort of lined up. So if it does become available, I will change this a little bit, and I'll sort of add it onto the socials. So it's written by Philip Weed Games, created this. Got some good reviews already, which is really handy to see. Some comments here. This is the perfect companion for SoloDark. But give you an idea, we've got a colour cover here. So I think it's black. I'm sure it's black and white, the one that we've got. This is the solo rules. You still will need a copy of SoloDark, and you will need a copy of Shadowdark, obviously. So, you know, they all go hand in hand, but this is just going to give you an awful lot more in here. So we've got all these sort of random dungeon maps in here. There's a handy video in here that you can go and watch as well. So, like, the ratings are good. So if you're going to pick this up, I did sort of pay for this. So, not sort of pay for this, I did pay for this. So please do use my affiliate link. Right, let's get into the front cover. So this one's black and white. The one on Drive4RPG has got colour. I prefer the black and white one. The colour one, don't get me wrong, I do love black and white with one colour stuff, so it looks really good. But here we got this solo delver going down. I think it's probably a goblin. It's going to die. It will die. So writing, layout is by Philip Reed. All the art in here, licensing, copyright stuff is on the left-hand side of the page. So let's just jump straight into the content. So the content is going to take you through the introduction, welcome hero, how to use the book. We've then got some tools for adventurers, so random adventure generators, site names, how to generate an adventure. This is really good, this bit. So when you are approached by, it's very, very sort of basic way of just creating either your own adventure, or, you know, if you want to run it for Games Masters. Urban adventures here, so we've got some more taverns, tavern generators, meals, drinks, people sat in the corner, some more shops, interesting encounters for artisan, castles, high districts, etc. We've then got some wilderness adventures as well, some more points of interest for things like jungles, swamps, rivers, weather tables. It's always good to take weather into account. Then a load more encounters. We then get the 2 hex crawl maps. One is the Haunted Lands and the other one is the Forest of Towers. Then the 3 villages. We've got, I think it's Kubri, Id Shid, and Al Sahara. I think that's what I'm going with anyway. Then we've got the dungeon adventures, so it's going to add more dungeon names, some rooms. The entrances is really interesting, because I don't think a lot of us think we've got, you know, there's a hole in the mountain, there is a cave entrance or a door. This will just make your cave and dungeon entrances a little bit more interesting. Then going to take you through the chamber inside, second chamber, another room, some dungeon maps, NPCs and monsters. Love what Philip's done here with the NPCs, which we'll see when we get there. And then it's got all the monsters by levels across, you know, the core rulebook, variety of other Shadowdark sort of zines and stuff. And then it's got some random magic tables to make random magic items, obviously, and then just some random treasure at the back. There is black and white artwork distributed throughout the book, which really stops it from just being a sort of text heavy, table heavy book. The art is really, really good. There's lots and lots to love in here, and I will come back, I say, and I'm probably going to say what my niggle is as we go out, because I'm struggling to keep it to myself. But yeah, it does. This is the bit. So welcome here, where it's going to talk about, you know, you are still going to need the SoloDark rulebook. You're going to need a copy of Shadowdark's rulebook. Yeah. So, but obviously, well, actually, you can get most of the core rulebook for free off the Arcane Library as well. So you could pretty much get into solo role playing for free, which is really good. And this is just going to talk about, you know, how to use the book. So you can either create your own map, create your own dungeon. However, it just says, or you can select one of the 2 hex crawls in here, just as a place to ease yourself in. They're also not level specific, so you could start, if you want to start with a 5th level adventure, you could. My advice, start with a 1st level adventure. Whenever you're going to be soloing, just start nice and easy, start at the bottom. Or if you don't want to go into a map, stick them outside a dungeon, use some of the dungeon rules in here. Now, why would you be exploring a dungeon is the very first table. It's a D8. Just roll a D8, give the character some motivation. Let's just go with 3. Rumours of lost riches excite you and you hope to find said riches. That's quite a standard one, you know. I need money. Where is money? Money's in dungeon. Let's go and get it. Once you've then explored the dungeon, you can use a alternative generator to generate more dungeons. And let's just do it again. Just repeat. And over time, your confidence with solo role playing will just start to build. Now, do you need some other things to read? Influences, monsters. Creating and adapting monsters by Marta Pucklack. This should be in everyone's collection. I really need to cover this at some stage. This will help you convert monsters, creatures from other games to Shadowdark. So that's really good. And we've got a load of stuff for NPCs, different treasure tables, how to generate dungeons and things. This page is going to cost you money. And let's just go with money that's going to be spent wisely. Then we've got some wilderness stuff, some adventure things in here, then some miscellaneous ones to pick up. And again, we've got this walking tower. Actually, I've kind of got it. It's walking like it's alive. Now I don't know whether the wizard's blowing it up. Now I look at it from a slightly different angle. Anyway, art is what it is. It's you know, how you view it. So let's look at some adventure inspiration. So D20, we're going to get let's just go with feed the priest selling the soldier's sword. So yeah, let's just go and feed that priest, and then he's going to give you a stolen sword that he's stolen. And then we've got other generators here. So shatter the rat man in their home. So you just roll in, you know, 2d12 on these tables, and it's going to give you, you know, anywhere from sort of like a 2 to a 24, obviously 2d12. You know, we've got the catacombs of the blessed. And then we're gonna, what's it? We're gonna have, there's a griffin in there. Another adventure in sight name. Let's go with the den of the stalking ogre. We'll just run across that. So just say, from the table's point of view, it's just a little bit of inspiration for an adventure, why you're gonna go and do what you're gonna do, and naming it. I love the alternate adventure generator. This is brilliant. Very, very simple. Pendragon has one as well, the latest release from Pendragon. And as Philip said here, this is pretty much lifted from Cyborg and the Black Powder and Brimstone. But you're going to basically roll on a variety of tables, and it's going to go, when you insert blank, you are approached by insert blank and insert blank. They offer you, let me just explain where you do. So this is just someone you're going to meet or wherever it may be. So when you roll 2d12 and ask a guard for directions to an inn, you will be approached by a centaur. Let's make a wealthy noble centaur. So it just happens to be. And they're going to offer you a chest with coins, jewels, and gems. If you then kill the wealthy and corrupt tax collector. There you go. There's your adventure. There is your perfect solo adventure, just off from rolling a couple of D12s, which is the best dice, remember, several times. That's it. How amazing. You don't need any of the rest of the book. That's all you need. All of you need. Okay. And then you get the, unfortunately, the Guild of Assassins has taken an interest in the target. So you've got your adventure, everything seems easy, but you've also got this unfortunately, which is just going to come along. Really, really good. You know, I think all games should have this. I'm going to talk about it now, the elephant in the room. This is not a solo toolkit at all. It is, okay. This is also one of the greatest fantasy games master toolkits I think everyone should pick up. It's absolutely amazing for just, say, rolling random stuff for a solo person. Brilliant. But every games master can just have this by the side and just, players go, less players turn up, or you just want to run something exciting and new. You've lost all your inspiration. Go and pick this up. So there's my elephant in the room. That is my number one problem with it. It says Solo on the front cover. It should say Games Master's Essential Toolkit, something along those lines, because you're going to want to put this in. We've got a couple of tables here of what happens and something happens. So, so we've got a travelling carnival. It's the truth behind the deadly thieves. We've got something else happens. A citywide festival is disrupted by a purple worm. That's quite mean. But say just huge amount of adventurers, one-shots, anything like that. The players want to go somewhere in a different direction you haven't prepped for. Just create a wandering adventurer just off those tables that's going to give them a little side quest or a side interaction, something along those lines. Now, we're going to get some tables here with more taverns. The naming taverns I find naming NPCs I find hard, and describing them. This book's got you covered for that. But this has got you, you're going to generate your tavern for the name, what it's known for. It's got very attractive staff, just something different. Some D8 tables here with different foods. We've got from poor, standard, and wealthy. Some drinks, like a goblin's curse. And then the tavern twist. There was one of them, I think it was it the first one? Yeah. The tavern is brand new, only opened last week. That allows you as a games master or a solo creator just to think, it's going to have that new wooden smell. Everything's going to seem fresh. There isn't going to be much, knife. People have drawn into the tables, broken stuff. It should all feel nice. Stranger in the corner. There's a weird man or in a halfling or whatever. He's a local baker delivering a bland, dry cake. Some tavern encounters here. 2 men under the table when a press gang passes by. And we've got some variety of rumours. We're then going to get into some shops and name of the shops and what the shop's known for. Some interesting customers in the shop. There's so much in here. We're only on page 37, and you can just run so many more encounters. Then we've got more city encounters, new stuff. So this is just going to add on to the Shadowdark core rulebook. That because there's lots of encounters in here. So we've got some extra stuff for the artisan, castle, high district, low district, market district, slums, temples, and university district. This is also added. Obviously, you can add this onto Chubby Funster's Games Master's Guide as well. This is all just adding more toolkits, more tables, more things for a Games Master or a solo player. Now let's have a look at some wilderness adventures. So we're going to get some points of interest. Again, additional points of interest for Arctic coast, desert, forest, greenlands, jungle, mountain, river points, swamps. Weather. I'm terrible at weather. The weather's always really nice, or it's raining, or occasionally I might think about snowing. But this does it even better because it will give you a D8 weather table here. But also it needs to keep you honest, because one of the tips that I discovered that I always try to now do in games is run a calendar. Calendars help the world move along and become alive. Now this, because it's got seasons, will also help you move days and seasons on. And if the weather's changing during the year, it's going to feel like a more living world. It's just 2 pages of incredibly handy stuff that your players, or I know I keep saying players because this is a solo toolkit. It's not. It's not a solo tool. It is a solo toolkit, but it's something that you should just have by the side as a games master solo. Either way, it's a big lie on the front, but I love it. I absolutely love it. We've got strange weather events here. So we've then got more encounters, because if you want more encounters in the Arctic, all the way through coast, desert, Greenland, forest, mountains, rivers. So next up, we're going to look at the first of the 2 hex crawl map. Now, if you've never created a hex crawl map, do not panic. Obviously, there's enough rules in Chubby Funsters and the core rulebook for Shadowdark, but what Philip's done really nicely is created 2 maps with, this one's got 13 locations on, and they're just sort of key locations. Obviously you're still going to roll the random stuff for the other hexes, but it's then got some random encounters in here as well. But yeah, just print this off, have it down in front of you. It's a nice place to start. Decide where you want to start, just walk in and just come along, and then it's going to give you some keyed locations. So say there's 13 of them. They aren't really level based as well, but let's just pick on the Mines of Silk. So a tribe of Entercap and their herd of giant spiders call this natural labyrinth their home. There you go. You've got a couple of protagonists already. The outer cap trade, spider silk for supplies for those merchants who are brave enough or foolish enough to do business with these monsters. And then there's a little bit more stuff talking about the mines and inns nearby and stuff like that. So this is just going to flesh out the world. So if you're struggling, which a lot of us do when we first get into solo role playing or running as a games master, same thing in this world. And it's from this book. I've said it probably 4 times. I'll shut up now and not keep repeating myself. But this is just going to allow you to just gain that confidence to build something out, to give you an idea of how to work a hex scroll. So you can worry more about the mechanics of creating the new hexes and sort of walking through, the different environments and stuff, and just do it that way, And then we've got a second one, so we've got the Forest of Towers in here, and this has got an additional twist table here that you're going to want to roll on. So there's 4 different towers in here, and they are listed here just to give you an idea if you want to vary the towers in here. And the one thing that made me sort of sit back when I first looked at this is here we got the Tarrasque, and I was like, ooh, Tarrasque, that's a bit deadly, but it's technically a castle. So, and all the details are in here. And then we've got the the unknowable dwellers within the towers, so it's really, really handy. Then we've got the village of Kubri, which is going to give you a map of the village, as well as different locations within the village as well, and a couple of NPCs. We've got the village of Idshid. Well, I'm going to go with that. That's what I went with last time. Again, more sort of specific sort of areas and estates in here. And then we've got the village of Al-Shahara in here as well, which, it's not a walled village as well. Nice to see villages with rivers because, people need to drink. That's a huge amount of information you've got there in the first 105 pages. So the rest of the book now is going to be dungeon adventures, NPCs, monsters, magic items. Dungeon needs a name. We've got a table here, D20, roll a few D20s, and we're going to get the Cemetery of the Dying Ooze. You've got a theme in there. It's got ooze. Second table of dungeon names as well. What was the dungeon before? Because all dungeons were something before they became vacant or, well, whatever creatures took over. So D12 table. Really good idea just to sort of throw that in. 2 D12 tables, 2 of, to give you an idea of rooms. So is it going to have an armory in here? Book like a library with many books in here. Some more dungeon details. Dungeon sounds. What a great idea for a table. The clang of swords against swords that they can hear off in the distance, just to make the players think, okay, we're not alone. There's something else in here. Second table of sounds. Different illuminations. I think we all just use torches. Don't need to here. So flaming fire pit or a slow moving river of lava that's going to light it up. Smells. Having a smell is going to make things seem, again, a lot more real. Really, really good tables in here. We've got the dungeon entrances. Spoke about this when I was going through the contents. A D6 table here. I'm not going to read any of them out. I'll let you find out in your own time when you buy this. That, just make the entrances a little bit more interesting. Then we've got a 2D6 table of the very first chamber. Then some details of the second chamber. So, the second chamber could be a corridor in here, or it's going to be an unnatural wind fills with a small room, blasting through cracks in the wall, extinguishing torches almost immediately. Straight in the dark. Another chamber tables, more another tables. Then we've got some special chambers in here as well. This is a very good table, can't help myself, that it's just going to make secret doors a little bit more interesting, because I think we're just used to, there's a secret door. You open the secret door, you click a switch, the doorway opens, the panel opens. Make it a bit more interesting. Now we get a load of random dungeon map tiles. So initially we're going to get a D8 here, which is going to allow you to give you the entrance. And then we're going to roll a D66, which is then going to allow you to go over to the next things just to add to it. I don't think I've ever seen rooms of this sort of size and entrances that's just going to allow you to build out a dungeon really quickly and conveniently. You could almost print these off and have them ready to go and just place them down to visualize where they are. Really, really good. And then we've got some more encounters, so things like caves, deep tunnels, dungeon encounters, more dungeon encounters, ruins, tomb encounters. A nice beholder there, little tiny beholder. And then this is one of my favorite sections, the NPCs. The monsters an NPC section, but this NPC names and faces. If you want to be able to describe an NPC, we'll go, yeah, it's a little fat human. They have ginger hair and one eye. This just allows you to go, oh yeah, dark hair, pointy ears. You don't have to actually explain it's an elf. You can use the description so people know it's an elf. Really handy. I don't think I've ever seen this anywhere before, and anyone that's done that. Obviously, I know you can buy cards for this. And then we've got, some random mannerism tables, some liability tables, then get a random monster generator table. And depending on the average player, whether you want to be, depending on what you roll, will determine whether they're below the level of the players or above the level of the players. But yeah, it's just going to give you some random stuff. Want to make the monsters a little bit more interesting. They've got a D20, 3 different tables here of random mutations that you can put in. And then we get this monsters by level. So this is going to take all the monsters from Shadowdark, Monster Monday, Unnatural Selection, and the Games Master's Companion for Shadowdark, and just list them all here by level. So if you want just an easy access to sort of, find some monsters, if you've got those books, and then just work through the levels and stuff like that. So yeah, really handy to see this. Some more wonderful art. And then we're straight into treasures and mundane magic. We get a magic item idea generator here, another table, and then we got some random treasure tables at the back all the way through. That's a D100. So I think it's the only D100 table. Then we get to the back of the book, and you are, great guide for GMs. Not only solo players will find this book edition. Don't hide that at the back of the book. Stick it front and center. As much as this is a essential guide for Shadowdark solo role players, I also think now this is really up there for games masters. This is I don't know now whether if I gun to my head, this or Chubby's Games Masters Guide. They both do very similar things. I always go with both. You're gonna want both in your collection, whether you're a solo games master player or whether you are a standard games master. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. And the fact that everything else that you need really to play Shadowdark solo is free. This is the only purchase that you actually need to make. SoloDark and the core rulebook, most of the core rulebook to create characters and get adventuring is free on the Arcane Library. I'll put a link to that in the video description. But I hope you'll agree there are so many wonderful tables for solo games master or a solo player. There's just, say, taken through additional random tables, additional encounters, all the stuff for helping to name shops. The mannerisms that the NPCs, there isn't a table in here that I haven't thought that I couldn't use. I don't really think I can say anything else other than this is amazing. Absolutely amazing, Philip. I need to go and look at some more of the stuff because obviously right at the start of the book there was links, talked about other things that you'd written for solos and other adventures and stuff. Bang! Straight out of the park with this one. Go and get this one. If you are going to pick this up, please do consider using my affiliate link. So you don't need to be a solo player. All you need to be is a games master. And if you're not running Shadowdark and you're running any fantasy game, you can pick this up. You can use this. Really, really great tool. If you enjoy what I'm doing, please do consider like, share, and subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.